This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, May 29th, 2018, episode 176. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig and visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. Joining me from the great state of Boise, Idaho, Brian with an I, Aldridge. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Great. Voted the thank you for that video. That's wonderful. Voted the best place to live, or where everybody's moving to.
I'm sorry.
In, this year, which is the worst thing that could probably happen.
It's good.
But yeah,
can I move there? I'll move there. It'll be great.
You could, yeah. And
but do you want
and everyone else?
But do you want me to? See, this is what happens.
I wouldn't mind if you moved here. It's just we don't want everybody moving here.
Okay, I'll leave that with you. You can.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, of course you can go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. We don't want people like PH moving there. I think that would be a little excessive.
Those
he can
people.
Stay in whatever European country he lives in. But if you want to find me at on biteoftech.com, of course, go to our website, infectionpodcast.com. We have on there on the right-hand side, link to our Discord, link to our Steam group, a link to our YouTube channel, our live Twitch show. Maybe you're listening to this or watching the YouTube version. As he said, we are live every Tuesday, so you can go in there and get a link to that. And then all of our audio podcast forms. If you're looking to get a notification before our live show, just make sure you go on there, join the Steam group. It'll pop up a little notification right before the show starts as a nice reminder. Also, we have our Discord where we talk about games throughout the week. People play games together and talk during the game. It has a great messaging app as well. So it's free for mobile and desktop client. It's really lightweight, so it's not going to slow your computer down. So if you go on there, just click that. It'll put you right into our channel, and then you'll be able to participate. So I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, how are you, Brian? It's been
I am doing well. I was saying a little bit before the show, I was having family stuff, moving my wife's her grandpa today, and then next week her grandma into assisted living. So that's what I've been doing all day. And that's what a lot of what I've been kind of doing over the weekend too. Just kind of getting it prepared for that and everything.
It's been raining here.
It's been a crazy weekend.
It's been raining here for the last 7 days, and it looks like it'll be raining for the next 14. So every 15 minutes or so, it downpours. So that's fun.
On Friday, we had really crazy like hail.
Oh.
It was just sleet and hail and everything else for a little bit. And then it rained. But other than that, for the weekend, it's been really nice. It doesn't feel like Tuesday to me because of yesterday being a holiday.
Yeah, when you work on computers, I guess every day is a Memorial Day, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so yesterday I didn't really do too much other than kind of doing that. So
that's good.
So today feels like Monday to me, I guess is what it is.
Likewise. Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is H1Z1 on the PlayStation 4. Everybody would like to complain, nobody wants to play this garbage. Well, we played it. Brian and I played it, and let's see where to start. I'll let you start, Brian, because I know you had some interesting, and that is not true. People did show up. We had a full squad of people. Let's get your opinions on the wonderful world of H1Z1.
So one thing that was kind of surprising is that all the same lobby glitches that we have on PC somehow carried over to a totally new lobby system on PS4. So I'm not sure exactly how that worked, but we were initially having issues just trying to get into the same lobby. Nick would start the queue, and then when it would either put me into a game and he'd still be sitting in the queue, or it was just doing the same stuff. Like when they first kind of introduced this lobby system on PC, I think that's kind of the same stuff that was happening too. So I don't know.
It was the issue where two people are in the lobby, one person gets put into the game, the other one continues to search, and
but it was very consistent
every time. We had to restart the game after every game, which is a
real exit out and then come back in.
Real pain in the ass on the PlayStation. It takes forever to restart the game. You're talking like a solid three minutes, but this 3 minute turnaround time from when you are out of your game, quit it, and then can log back into the system. It takes forever. I'm on the PS4 baseline one. I don't have the PS4 Pro. I assume it's a little bit quicker on that, but nevertheless, it is a royal pain to get that stuff going.
And then we got into the game, and they definitely don't have, because that's one thing they announced that they were going to be doing, is having it to where not really aim assist, but the way that you're moving your gun, it is going to be smoothed out a little bit, or accelerated.
It is aim assist, and I mean, for people that want to complain,
assist, but I think what I'm more thinking of is how you swing your gun around and swing your character around. That feels like very even. It's not accelerated. It's like you're having to sit there and turn. You can't quickly turn on the spot like you would on a PC with a mouse.
Yeah, it's a little bit slower. I remember I think the first thing you said was, "Wow, my sensitivity is screwed up."
Yeah, I felt like I needed to kick it up a lot.
And it wasn't per se. It's just a much, I don't know the word to use. It's not smooth. It's just a different play style. It's a much slower play style than the PC, which they have to do. I mean, Twitch shooters are not good. The reason people don't play Counter-Strike, well, it's not even available, but the reason people don't play Counter-Strike on the console is because it's inaccurate and it just doesn't work. That's why it's so popular on the PC, because you can shoot at your individual pixels if you want, and you know, while people are head glitching, you can fire out a pixel and kill them. It doesn't exist on the console. It's just that the aiming is just too tough.
Now, one thing I did say during the time is I felt like I said I felt like they were making this game for the PS4 because it felt totally smooth as far as the gameplay.
Yeah,
you know, I'm sure the frames weren't as high as they could possibly be on it, but I mean, it plays as well on the console as it does on the PC, at least. So, you know, my joke was that they were sitting there and designing it for the console and porting it over the whole time to PC, and that's why it was so bad on PC.
Now, let me give you a hypothetical, Brian. If you were to play one of these games again, which you probably won't, which one would you rather play as of right now? The PS4 version of H1Z1 King of the Kill or the PC version of H1Z1 King of the Kill?
I would probably play the PS4 just because of not having hackers that I could tell. Yeah. You know, there were people who were better aimed than I was, you know, because I'm just not being used to it. But I didn't have people shooting me from really far away. I didn't have people flying in the air. I didn't have people, you know, laying on the ground and snaking everywhere. Like that stuff just didn't happen. My usual experience, if we did the exact same thing and had a game night for H1Z1 on PC, the way that it always ends is that we go and play, and then some hackers start doing stupid stuff in a game and we all rage quit. I mean, that's the experience of the night. You know, we get maybe 2-3 games in, and then something really blatant happens, and you know, we just say, all right, we're done. That didn't happen. There was nothing that was like that, to where, sure, we had the issues with the lobby, but then when we kind of figured it out, we just adjusted, you know, how we were doing it. And other than that, like, any reason, you know, anything that happened in the game was purely just because we're not experienced in it on the PS4.
And again, to their defense, and I'm no Daybreak apologist, but this was the first weekend of the game being available, playable for open play on PS4. And I had to remind Brian, as we were both complaining about the lobby, you and I both paid for the $100 copy of Call of Duty. What's the one that we bought? World
War II.
World War II. And the servers were first offline for the first 3 hours. They didn't come up until almost 3:30 a.m. Eastern. And then when they did come up, we could not get into it. We could not get our entire group of 4 or 5 into a single game together. Everybody was crashing out. The lobbies were broken. Now, I know it's not the same example. You make the argument that Activision on launch of Call of Duty has got hundreds of thousands of players, but it's the same concept. You're talking about the first few days, and they may have had their highest player count when we were playing, which was 8:30 Eastern on Friday. And
do you see them getting those players back? I mean, do you see them ever? Do you think this is the peak, kind of like, you see some where there's a peak the first day and
Yeah,
then
like Conan and every other
all
game.
downhill from there. Yeah. I mean, do you think that's the case with this, or do you think they're going to eventually keep gaining players somehow?
I don't know if they'll keep gaining players, but I think they'll find a solid group of players on the PlayStation. I really do, and I think you've got to remember who their clientele is. With a free to play game on console, it's younger people. You know,
I don't know that they're going to have an easy time pulling away from Fortnite, because Fortnite is free on the PS4. It's what a lot of these kids that are high school, even junior high, they are talking to other, and when they're saying, "Oh, did you play H1Z1 last night?" That's not what they're saying. Yeah. Or when we get home, let's play some H1Z1. That's not at all what they're saying. It's Fortnite.
By the way,
and I just don't know that they're going to pull those away.
I got a squad win in Fortnite last night. Just want to just say, I mean, I'm pretty good. I'm as good as Myth at Fortnite. So practically Myth. Now here's the thing: there is room, and Brian, I think you're making an error. I'm calling you out right here on the show. I think you're making the error that a lot of people on the internet are making about H1Z1, and they're not going to be Fortnite. I don't think they're trying to be Fortnite. There is room for a game with a solid player base. I mean, you look at a game like Ark or even Miscreated, for the hell of it. They've got a solid player base. It's a solid 10,000 people. Now, it's way more on console for H1Z1. The problem is we won't ever see the numbers published. We get these little bits and pieces, just like Epic does with Fortnite, where they only throw out numbers when it's convenient. Like, oh, we reached a new peak, 4.8 million active players, or whatever nonsense they spew out, which I don't care about. I'm not interested in bits and fragments of information. Either publish it all the time or shut up about it. I'm not interested in only seeing it on Twitter when you beat some other game. But I do think there's room for a couple 100,000 players or a couple tens of thousands of players to be playing this, constantly on the PlayStation. It's free. I mean, what's stopping them?
Well, and it really fluctuates. Like I played a game called Warframe, and it has a really dedicated, and players will kind of taper off for a while and then they'll come back. And I think with the PS4, you will get that fluctuation. I don't know that everybody jumps ship quite like a PC does. Seems like in PC, when people start jumping ship, I think with console, there's not as much maybe communication. People just have it on their console and they play it whenever. I don't think they have the communities like we do here, where it's like, oh, nobody's playing that game anymore. Just maybe it is because the numbers aren't out there. I
mean, Brian, here's an example. You can see behind me right here. This is the shelf of video games I own. That is for every console I've got on my shelf. I've got more games in my Steam library than I have back there. It's the variety. I mean, you can hop from game to game to game on PC like nothing. I mean, I've got a handful of PlayStation 4 games and then a bunch of Xbox One and Xbox 360, but I'm still limited. I mean, I only have so many first-person shooters. I mean, I must have 25 or 30 of them in my Steam library.
Yeah.
So that's the difference, is when, like, you saw the Radical Heights peak and then go out of business 3 weeks later. But nevertheless, it was fun for a little while. A couple streamers streamed it. And by the way, that's what draws players on PC, is when these streamers start playing it. Case in point, why Epic is paying people rather to play the game. Incredibly smart business move by on their part, but that's what's driving it. And it's just not the same on Xbox or PlayStation or even, the Switch or anything like that. You only have so many games because there's not the variety.
And it's not like that's the thing with Twitch. There's, or maybe there is. Do you think that there are those guiding figures in the console world? Like here, we could say, if Dr. Disrespect, if you have Summit, whatever names, playing certain games, you get this many people that are then going to play it just because they have it.
Absolutely.
Or they're playing it. Do you think there's the same thing in the console?
No.
I mean, did the people go to YouTube and really watch it that closely? I haven't seen anything that really says, oh, here's the game I'm supposed to like right now.
I think they're
on console, other than, Kotaku saying, oh, this is a great game.
yeah, 10 out of 10. I think the difference is on PC, like, I'm sure like you, Brian, you'll be sitting at your computer doing something else and then start playing a video game, watching a YouTube video, watching Twitch, something like that. In most cases, in my case, I've got to get up from my desk and pull over the chair I have and sit in front of the television to play.
And then that television is solely dedicated to that game.
Now I do screw around on my phone between games. I'll browse Reddit or Discord.
I could be watching a stream and playing at the same time.
And I think that's the difference. I mean, I've got, like you, I think you have 3 or 4 monitors. I've got 4 spread across me here, plus a laptop. I mean, I could do a bunch of stuff at the same. For example, I've been playing Overwatch over the weekend and watching a YouTube live stream. So you can do that. It's very hard to do on the console, and I think that's probably the difference in what is the trend setting. Plus, you just depends. It really does depend on the game. I mean, certain games streamers play, games like battle royale games, H1Z1, Fortnite, PUBG. People jump on. More, I guess, harder core games. Players streaming it, I don't think necessarily has a huge effect. But for certain kind of arcadey multiplayer games, it's genius, and that's why you're seeing Epic is putting in a whole bunch of money into.
Well, they figured out that whole thing. It's just like a sports drink place paying a professional athlete to say, hold up a drink and say, I drink Gatorade.
Yeah.
And then, the Gatorade then becomes the main drink company. You could say, they shouldn't be paying that money. Maybe some people think that they shouldn't be doing that because it's kind of like false advertising, but that's what they've been doing in the food industry and shoes, clothing lines, all these different things. It's the exact same thing. And this is our version of it in the computer world. This is the exact same thing as paying the person who won the gold at the Olympics or some professional athlete to sit there and promote your product. For people in video games, you get them to play your game and you get them to do it live on stream and it works. I mean, look at how many people will flock to a game just because a couple of streamers are playing it.
As I'm speaking right now, Fortnite is the top game being streamed on Twitch. There are 173,399 viewers watching Fortnite. Our boy Myth is streaming right now with 25,800 current. Another TSM guy is streaming right below him at 15,000. And then it just goes on 14,000, 14,000, 11,000. I mean, that's absolutely driving the game. I mean, you have 25,000 people watching Myth play this game right now.
I mean, it also has to be a good game, though. That's the thing is if you look at Myth, I mean, Myth before Fortnite, he was playing, another Epic game, and it wasn't nearly as popular.
No.
And so he still was very skilled at that game, but it didn't have that draw. And so he would get, 20, 30, maybe up to 100 people at a time. Then he switched over to Fortnite and the draw of the game and other streamers, and then him being able, part of it is you have to be good or you have to be very entertaining.
Yes.
In this world.
Preferably both.
And so either or it could be both. Yeah. And then you'll draw some of the viewers from these other, people, and you start kind of picking that up and growing really quickly. He went from, that 100 people max to then jumping to thousands of people the second they jumped on Fortnite. So I think it is that combination of you have to stand out because you're really good. And I think you also have to be possibly entertaining, because I think Dr. Disrespect is pretty good.
He's very good, but he's very entertaining.
But he's more entertaining than good sometimes, especially I think in Fortnite. He's pretty good in Fortnite, but I think he's better in H1Z1. I think he's better in PUBG. But I think he's entertaining enough for people to still watch him even when he's playing a game he's not so good at.
Yeah, and PH is saying view botting. I don't disagree that view botting is a thing, but you look at these personalities like Summit and Lyric and Dr. Disrespect. You could make the argument that they're view botting, but they're not view botting 25,000 views.
I think that there is view botting that's happening, and I think that it's kind of like, not necessarily leading sheep, but when people will go to a room that has a lot of people in it, and people will view bot and get to the top of the list of people that are streaming Fortnite. That's the thing, is how many people. I would think that if you wouldn't want to get caught, because you can get banned for view botting, right?
Yeah, real quick.
I think that if you're gonna, I'm not promoting view botting. If you were to do it, I would think you would want to start like backing the numbers off as you gained, and you're not going to eventually be doing 16 to 20,000 something view bots anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm scrolling through his chat right now. I mean, there are people in this chat room.
But the thing is I've looked through, and there is a bunch of fake names in there too.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't know how many are real, and I don't promote view botting. I think it's more common than we think.
Oh, it absolutely is. I mean, just going through the chat here, there's a couple people that literally almost the same identical name. I'm not disagreeing that it's not happening. I just don't.
Same with numbers on the end. Like if you look, there's a bunch of with a certain number on the end of it. It's like not very creative with the
bingo boom shakalaka.
Yeah.
Names, so.
Thank you, Firebomb, for the subscription there. And actually, while that reminds me, I want to thank our friend UGX Vibe for the 4-month subscription right before the broadcast. It says, wish you guys played Sea of Thieves, lol. So, sorry, but we're not. At least
actually
not
this weekend.
Yes.
So our Friday night game night, we might as well go into this. We're going to be playing Blackwake. I warned everyone last week that they needed to buy it when it was on sale, which ended yesterday, and so hopefully you guys were listening. But we will be playing Blackwake on Friday. I haven't played it, but people talk about it and have said it's a lot of fun. And Nick got it last week. I got it last week. So
we're ready.
Yeah, we are ready. And we have a number of people who've played it quite a bit. So we'll probably have them kind of lead the groups. I know Saul's played it. PH has played it. So I think one of them to kind of lead the charge.
And I think that's a good segue to move away from our overall H1Z1 PS4. It's free to play. Go check it out. At least jump in a couple games. Overall, I thought the experience was pretty good. But it's H1Z1. In terms of H1Z1, it's a good experience. It's not anywhere comparable to Fortnite or PUBG. But in terms of H1Z1, playing as an H1Z1 game, plays pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't the horrible experience that we've had on previous H1Z1 experiences in lobbies and things like that. I mean, it was all manageable. We did get into games, and we had H1Z1 games before where we couldn't really get into a game and actually play.
Sat in queue for 60 minutes.
Yeah, we sat in a queue for 60 minutes once. And so this we did get games in, once you got into a game together, we realized, we just need to close the game, reopen it, and then it would let us in. And so it was tolerable. And as I said, if I were to play again H1Z1, I would probably play on the console, just to get the bug out. But I just don't enjoy the way that shooting happens in H1Z1. I don't like the arcadey feel, so that I'm not drawn to that on the PC. It frustrates me more than anything on the PC. So I expect an arcadey feel on a console.
Bingo. I think that's accurate. Let's do a quick transition to something that is not necessarily, it's news, but it's not necessarily individual gaming news, and that is what the joke has been for quite a while with PUBG, Bluehole, and suing people, companies, games, whatever it may be. And an article broke earlier this week that the PUBG Corp is suing Epic Games, of course, the developer of Fortnite, for copyright infringement. Now, this lawsuit was filed in January, so it's been 3-4 months since it's been filed. But it was brought to the public by the Korean Times. They brought it to public this weekend, and then once they did, all the gaming sites picked up their source here. But PUBG is claiming that Fortnite's popular Battle Royale mode copies PUBG's interface and in-game items. And I'm just reading verbatim from this Kotaku article now. When Epic launched the Battle Royale mode in September of 2017, the maker of PUBG took shots at the developers. That was, at that point, Brandon took shots at them, Mr. Player Unknown, saying that they were, quote, concerned that Fortnite may be replicating the experience for which PUBG is known, end quote. Now the people behind PUBG have bolstered those threats with concrete action. They're literally suing them. So overall, they kind of go into the background of it. Then they bring up the point that Brian brought up originally, is PUBG runs on the Unreal game engine, which is maintained and developed by Epic, the makers of Fortnite. And then this article does point out that both companies, a large stake of it is owned by Tencent, the China publishing group, game development group. And thank you, thanks Judd for the subscription there, saying brought to you by biteofmangoes.com, which is a cool blog that you can check out. So it just goes on here. Bluehole was unavailable for comment as of this article was being written, which was this was written this morning, came out yesterday. So Brian, what do we think here? I mean, I'm not a lawyer. You're not a lawyer. When this gets closer down the road, fortunately, Brian and I both have a very good friend who actually specializes in intellectual property rights. So as more details of this case come out, Brian and I are going to get some more concrete argument than just him and I BSing back and forth. But since we don't really have any information yet, this just came out. Nobody's been available for comment. What are your thoughts on PUBG going after, essentially going after Fortnite here? That's what's going on.
Let's break it down a little bit. First of all, if you look at where Battle Royale came from, he took the whole concept from a movie. It's from a movie called Battle Royale.
Yes.
That has many of the elements of the game in it. He doesn't own those rights. Then he started out on Arma 3 modding, where I can tell you a lot of what the modding community is taking other people's mods combined that they've written, combining them together to making a specific experience for your mission. What he made was a mission. If he can't prove that he wrote the code for dropping out of a plane, if he can't prove that he originally wrote that code for having the gas move in on you, if he can't prove that he was the sole originator of all those things, and he ends up having taken some code from from one of the Arma places that you can get scripts from to build that experience, then he has no case, because anyone else could take that exact same script from Arma and do the exact same thing. I think that one thing that'll really get him is the fact that he took his concept from a movie in the first place. So it wasn't his original concept. It's on film. And he stated many times that he got that from the movie called Battle Royale. And that was his inspiration. There are many things from the film that are actually in the game. And then if you want to look at it, there's many things that are from the Steam Workshop, or not from Steam, but from the Epic Unreal Engine marketplace, like the med kits and all these things that he used in his game. That, he can't say, well, that's solely mine. He used those aren't, he didn't even make those. There's
from what I believe, the suit is over the concept of the game. They're claiming they're claiming that it stole the interface and the in-game items. They're not necessarily going after the concept of the game, because I agree with you. I don't believe Brandon has a leg to stand on in that respect. You could even look at Hunger Games. A lot of inspiration of PUBG coming from I don't remember when those movies came out. 2010, 2009. And that's a very similar or whenever the books came out. You're talking about a very similar concept of a group of people falling in, something pushing them together, kind of a battle royale look there. So with that, I don't know how far that goes. Now, one interesting note that the Korean Times literally puts in their last their last sentence in this article is Epic Games is currently preparing to make a foray into the Korean market with NeoWiz Games, which is, I guess, a Korean publisher. The two firms signed an agreement in January, wink, wink, to release Fortnite. So NeoWiz Games, I guess, is a kind of a cyber cafe place. So it says to release Fortnite in its so-called PC rooms here within the second quarter. So I don't know if these two things just happen to align at the same time. Fortnite says, "Hey, we're going to bring the game into Korea. This is going to be, this is going to be great." Bluehole, of course, being a Korean company. I don't know about the coincidence there, but overall, I think this is dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Now, and I did see some people on the H1Z1 subreddit talking about, well, what about H1Z1? That was a license agreement. They licensed the game mode from Brandon. I would assume they've got decent legal representation and that they purchased the license and everything is in the up and up. With the fact that they didn't know who they were owned by for almost 2 years, it may cast a shadow of doubt on that. But nevertheless, I think they're probably in the clear. But this is a and here's the thing: intellectual property is a serious thing. It is property. Intellectual property. Somebody stealing that is the same thing as Brian walking into my house and picking up my computer and walking out with it. It's the same kind of theft. Just because it's virtual theft and it's not physical does not mean it's not theft. I'm not undermining copyright infringement or stealing somebody's intellectual property. I'm not trying to do that whatsoever. But this is a dangerous precedent that's being set for, somebody made a similar game to ours. Let's sue them. Now, obviously, Bluehole and PUBG Corp is the one actually suing them, not Bluehole, I think. So, but nevertheless, they've got plenty of money. And so does Epic Games. I mean, they both got enough money and enough legal representation to fight this tooth and nail. It will be very interesting to see what comes out of this. I don't think either of them has a slam dunk case.
Well, and I think that Epic has done a good job of coming up with a lot more things. I mean, there was this whole thing where all of a sudden you saw other companies putting in elements from each other's games. I think it's happened in all directions.
Yeah.
I don't think this is something that's unique and new to this. I think that it's happened with other aspects. I mean, we reported last week that in PUBG, they're starting to put crates around the map that we're kind of suspecting might be things that you can loot throughout the game.
Literally chests, golden chests. Yeah.
And you could say the same thing with what was the game that just shut down? Radical Heights.
Radical Heights, yes.
You could say with Radical Heights, where they had the chests in there, those were kind of a mimic of what was happening with Fortnite. So I don't think that you can say, well, you can't do any of this. I think with video gaming, it'd be like someone saying, well, we came up with the first-person shooter, so no one else can do first-person shooters.
And Judd is even saying that it would be like Bungie suing Epic for TDM, Team Deathmatch for Halo, Unreal Tournament. I mean,
and that's the thing is, I don't think the elements of the UI are unique enough in PUBG to say, oh, no one else can do it. Can have a health bar. I don't know what they're thinking was copied. I don't think they're close enough. But I think there's a lot of other games that could say, well, we had a look like that before PUBG came out with it. These elements that are on there that supposedly they could be copying. I think that those were out there before.
Yeah, I'm pulling up. Let's see. I'm trying to get two pictures here. So here's, this is just two pictures off Google, and I don't even know if these are the latest pictures for both of them. But this is PUBG. Let me pull my title bar away there. A couple of elements. I guess we can do this little side-by-side comparison live, because the argument, the case states UI is one of the things. So we've got amount of players alive up here. We've got a I don't know what you'd call this, some type of visor compass. Players left remaining down here. Your the weapon information, some more weapon information, a mini map, and then right over here there's the zone bar information. So we've got that in PUBG. Now, if we fly over to Fortnite, we've got a similar UI, but nothing that, this looks like every other game UI. And I'll draw it out again. Yes, you've got this navigation bar. This is not unique. This is not a unique element, having the compass above you. The friends list,
They're not the first game to do that.
I don't believe that's incredibly unique. The health bar, very standard in a lot of games. I don't see that. This is totally unlike PUBG whatsoever. There really isn't. You don't really use the inventory in Fortnite. There's not a big inventory screen that you open. You do very little inventory management. Resources.
They can't claim a mini map.
And then the mini map that shows the players alive and stuff like that. I mean, this doesn't strike me as blatant copyright infringement. Now, again, I'll continue to say it, and we will say this. Neither of us are attorneys. I'm not trying to be an attorney, but when you've got a game that is clearly suing another game over popularity, I mean if nobody was playing Fortnite, this lawsuit wouldn't have come out. There's no doubt in my mind. This is about this is because both of the games are popular. PUBG was first to market, but Epic came in at 1,000 miles an hour and in some respect kicked PUBG's ass. They were slowing down on their updates. They stopped doing weekly updates. They moved to monthly. They slowed with feature updates. And Epic came in like a bull in a china shop and started knocking everything over. And I mean, they released 3 updates a week for Fortnite. Yep. And we'll get into some PUBG news after this, them literally admitting that they have not done a good job updating the community on what they're doing. So, there is clearly something going on here with success that absolutely unequivocally plays a role in this. I don't care what either side say, that it's BS to believe that success isn't part of it.
One thing that I think Fortnite has done an incredible job of is taking advantage. I mean, with that whole kind of pass system that they made, they came up with a way that they can get money, they can keep people playing, and that's totally unique. I haven't seen any other game do that. But I don't think they turn around and sue somebody else who came up with a pass in a similar way. I mean, I wouldn't think, but maybe they would. But I don't even think what they did compared to, I think there's so many elements in there that there is a pre-existing condition in other games. That other games have done. You could break each element down, saying, okay, this health bar, here's 1,000 other games that have done this.
Yeah.
This grouping system, here's 1,000 other games that have done this. The mini map, here's more than 1,000 games that have done that. I think they could break it down in court and say, now, what element were you saying was specific that we took from you? I think they could make that case. And I think if they're going in front of a jury of our peers, I think that they would look at that and they wouldn't be able to say, well, specifically, we think that you took this from Blue Hole or from PUBG. I think you could say that the concept of the game, but did they steal it from him or did they steal it from H1Z1? I mean, can H1Z1 now sue them as well?
No, because it's a license agreement. I would assume that Brandon still is I don't know what the deal of the license agreement is, but I would assume that they protected themselves in their.
But I'm saying H1Z1 could almost just as much say, well, we're going to sue Epic for taking the concept, for making a game like ours. Not even say, it's specifically Battle Royale, but they could say you made a game like ours too, because all those elements are there. I don't think they can say that it's purely PUBG. I think what will hurt them in the long run is how they said, we liked PUBG so much that we did this in the spirit of PUBG. I think that would be the worst probably thing in their case.
Yeah, and PH is reminding us, as we said earlier, they're suing them over the items and the UI. I mean, the items.
I don't think is a strong case. I think the concept, which I think he knows he can't win still, of having it go towards that center zone. I think that's what made it unique in the first place, not the items. I mean, what about the items that you have a health kit? What is there that is really that great? I mean, they have for goodness sakes, in Fortnite, they have an axe that you chop things with, or, a pick, and they've got guns and they've got health kits and they've got these drink things that, what are they going to say, that the shield, that's a unique item then, that shield that you drink,
the chug jug.
Yeah. I mean, but that still doesn't work anything like PUBG does. PUBG has it to where it speeds up your health regen and it makes it so you can run faster. That's not what happens in Fortnite.
I don't want to litigate this here, Brian, with each individual element. I think the important thing for us to cover is this is a very dangerous thing for our industry. And when I say our industry, I'm not just talking about survival video games. I'm talking about video games in general. This is a very dangerous thing that, somebody else is doing something similar to that I am, and it's successful. Let me sue them for a copyright infringement. Now, again, as I've said before, I'm not delegitimizing people stealing somebody else's intellectual property. But you could look at video games for the past 30 years and look at items and UI and see game after game after game stealing from each other. I just don't think what PUBG's UI brings to the table, which I'll show you again right here. This is PUBG's UI. I don't see anything in this that is so freaking unique compared to anything else I've seen. I mean, that minimap is something that's very standard in games like Call of Duty and Battlefield. Seeing your teammates' health is something that is standard in Battlefield. I mean, nothing about this screams unique and blatant ripoff from PUBG's system right here. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. But
I'm surprised they didn't go after reviving your teammates.
Well, absolutely. I think they could have had some real arguments about concept.
They didn't go after those unique elements. They went after the very generic things, and that's what's kind of surprised me about the case.
Yeah, and it'll be very interesting to follow. I don't know if they're looking for a suit or a settlement. Maybe this is a good opportunity to reach out to Epic and get somebody on from Epic to talk about it. I don't think this is healthy for our community. And it's not because I believe stealing somebody else's ideas are okay, but just because of the broadness of what they're suing over.
Okay, so look at that recent. There was that company that had patented podcasting. I mean, you remember that
Crucial Audio LLC. Yes.
So they had patented podcasting. Now they weren't doing any podcasting. They weren't doing it, but they had patented the concept and never actually made anything. It was purely a patent.
The concept of delivering information via an RSS feed. That was what they'd patented.
Yes. And they sat there and they sued and they sued and they sued. And recently, in the last couple of weeks, it was actually overturned.
Yes, EFF.
And they no longer have the patent for podcasting. But it was the same thing of whose idea is it? They thought that they had the original concept. I think people were able to go in and prove that there were concepts before that they were not unique. Whether it was making a playlist on, with a cassette tape, whatever it was. They didn't have that original concept, but they thought they did, and so they were suing over that. I think in video games, it's even less clear of where did you get your ideas from. And I think with Blue Hole, the fact that they took their name from a foreign film, and a lot of the elements are from. I think that they're going to have a really tough time proving that they are original. Like, this is where the whole concept came. There's books about the concept.
But they're not suing over. But they're not suing over the concept.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to win over anything else. Like that's the only thing that they could prove that they have anything original in. And the fact that UI is like podcasting, it's so generic. There's no way they're going to get that.
I would agree. And Peach saying we need to kill Fortnite, bring Epic down. I think that's ridiculous. Competition.
I think Epic has moved forward
the industry,
PC gaming industry so much.
Let me give you a great example.
I haven't heard them that much.
Over the past 48 hours, I have played video games with friends of mine from New York that I have not played video games with in at least 5 or 6 years. And guess what game I played, Brian?
I assume it would be Fortnite.
Fortnite. Now, I'm not saying that Fortnite is some amazing game.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that whatsoever. But Fortnite has unequivocally, without a doubt, brought a whole bunch of people into PC gaming, for better or for worse. I'm not arguing it's good or bad. I'm just saying they brought a bunch of people into the industry. And by the way, they have absolutely, unequivocally lit a fire under Blue Hole's ass about keeping their game up to date. You have seen you've seen so many updates in PUBG since Epic started rolling out game modes. Literally every single weekend, they are doing game modes. They're doing them right now. And that's why I won my squad in yesterday. Won the squad in yesterday. Was the all gold guns squad. They are rolling out new game modes every single weekend and testing them. And now, what are you seeing? Fortnite or PUBG is doing the exact same thing. They are trying new game modes.
All these event modes.
Every couple of weeks. Exactly. Yeah. So I don't care, like or hate Fortnite, they have put the pressure on Bluehole and PUBG to make their game better, because that's competition. Yeah. Competition has been proven time and time again to work. I mean, you can look at a million different examples. Competition works, and at the end of the day, it makes a better product for us.
What killed H1Z1?
Oh, absolutely.
They got complacent, and it ended up killing that company. I think that PUBG would have lost players from probably sitting around and not moving the product forward, where they probably have retained more people because they're coming out with new stuff and keeping it fresh, which they probably would not have done. They probably would have done the exact same thing in the long run as H1Z1, of sitting there and saying, well, this is the game that people are playing. We don't have to really change that much. Let's keep going this consistent direction, to where now they're like, well, we got to keep putting fresh things because their competitors doing that. And I think that's one thing. Epic isn't turning around and saying, well, you can't do these special modes. We did it first. They're not trying to stop them from doing that.
Yeah. I just think this is, I think it's dangerous, and I think it's a little reckless. I think it's dangerous, and I think it's a little reckless. Again,
I think it'll hurt them with PR if they are not very careful with this. These things can turn around and bite you if people start to think that you are being petty, or you're doing things that are not within your reach. Like this turned around on them could end up making them lose players.
It looks like they're butthurt. I mean, plain and simple. Yep. Looks like somebody came to the playground and beat them down, and now they're upset about it. So they're running home and they're crying. I mean, it's plain and simple. Both of these games are very popular.
Talking about patents. They're talking about patents in chat. I doubt that he has any patents on any of this. I think most of these would be considered copyright. I don't think they've actually patented anything, because I think he would find that he couldn't get a patent on any.
No, definitely. I don't think anything in regards to the UI is patent holding. Again, I'm just totally spitballing right now, but I haven't seen. There's been none of the articles I've read, and I read a couple of them to maybe get a different view or something like that. Everything is based off of the Korean Times article, which does not indicate there's anything to do with patent infringement. It's copyright infringement.
Which has to be, I think, is less broad. I think you have to have a pretty specific, that they were somehow copying something specific.
And I don't know, but as more information does come available, Brian and I have got a very good friend that serves and works in specifically intellectual property cases. So hopefully he'll be able to shed some more light on some details when those come out. We can get a professional opinion. But hey, if you're listening to this after the fact and you've got a comment or whatever, leave a comment up on our YouTube channel or tweet us at InfectionCast. Or if you've got something maybe a little longer form, maybe you, I don't know, maybe you're an attorney or you've got some information about copyright infringement or patent infringement, whatever it may be, send us an email, contact@infectionpodcast.com, and we'll do our best to bring that on to the next program. So overall, PUBG's taken Fortnite to court. It'll be interesting. I think it's dangerous for the gaming industry, but nevertheless, we'll follow it and bring you updates as they come available. It's been 5 months since the patent's been filed and that the lawsuit's been filed and we didn't know about it. So don't expect anything anytime soon. Now, in positive PlayerUnknown Battleground news, they did something a couple weeks ago that I think we talked about, their balance survey. And I want to highlight, not that this thing went well or didn't go well, but they chose 1,000 players from around the world that filled out this survey about balancing the game. And each of the people that they chose, the 1,000 winners, received 2 early bird keys, which are the unlock keys. This is what you and I, Brian, talked about for months with H1Z1.
Incentivizing.
Give people a reason to hop onto the test server. Give them a reason to test a game mode. Now, when you're PUBG or when you're Fortnite, you don't necessarily have to, because you have literally 2 to 4 million people playing your game. Just by the sheer number, the sheer mass of players, people will play your special game mode. But when you have a smaller group of players like H1Z1 does, or Miscreated does, or any of these other games do, you've got to incentivize your player base, your audience, to do these, either fill out these surveys, special events, whatever it may be. And that's what you had to go on here. So shout out to PUBG for releasing a survey, picking 1,000 good responses, 1,000 people that they thought left, decent response, and now giving them free keys, which the next time a survey comes out.
Now, next time, exactly.
Bingo.
People are going to jump on it, and they're actually going to get feedback. Because I think that we've seen it and we've talked about it so many times with H1Z, and it's like, well, why would I bother?
Yeah.
Why would I bother jumping on the test server? Just imagine how much more feedback they would have gotten if they would have said, all right, if you go and play on the test server, you will get this reward that carries over to the real game, the regular game. They never did that. Everything was always temporary. You'd lose it at the end, and there was no benefit to your regular account for doing anything for them. And, what was the point? Why would you bother going and testing that when it's just all going to go away? So I think that hopefully we'll start seeing more and more of this incentivizing, get people doing tests, finding bugs, giving feedback, to improve the elements of the game, because then you'll actually get people doing it rather than Reddit. I mean, you can't base all of your decision making on Reddit. We learned with H1Z1 that this does not work.
That's an absolute fact. So,
all right. So one other thing that they did is on here, they said, dev letter, recent feedback, and our development priorities. This is a post they put out. They said their top priorities is they said they look at the feedback from the players around the world to determine their priorities. And they're saying that they heard your voices. The primary thing is performance that they're looking at. So server-side optimizations, and we'll see that. I think they just did a recent patch, or they're getting ready to put out a recent patch here that's supposed to do a lot for the performance side of the game, because that's one thing originally. I've made the argument, look at Fortnite. That's how the game can run. If you turn around and then look at PUBG, the client, the movement feels sluggish. Things lag. There's a really big difference. If you look at the actual frame rates and things that are happening throughout the game, you'll notice that recently they found that the tick rate on Fortnite has just gone up quite a bit recently. So they're figuring out things on the back end and getting the real performance up to where it's not being sluggish through the whole game. I think that all those things have turned around and been incorporated into the Unreal Engine. So I think that we'll start seeing some of those things come into PUBG. But that was one thing that was the biggest complaint with PUBG is you sit around and at the beginning of the game, sometimes doors won't open, loot's not spawning correctly. And this was something that really hurt them early on. So they said they've been able to identify a few simple fixes that will improve overall game performance. And then they discovered that when vehicles move away from different types of ground materials quickly, too many effects are produced, causing players' GPUs to overload. Another cause of GPU overloading and FPS drops has to do with the way lighting effects are processed. And this goes bringing up Fortnite has better netcode than Battlefield 1. And that's something that happened very recently here. They were able to do something that has gotten it to where they're going from, I think, a tick rate of 20 to 30 consistently
real quick,
on Fortnite.
For people that maybe new to the program, don't follow this stuff, what is tick rate? What does that mean?
So that's like the refreshes from the server.
It's how often you get an update from the server.
Yeah, it's how quickly the server is able to respond to you and is able to communicate with you. So the problem is when there was a lot of stuff happening at the beginning of the game, it's spawning loot. People are dropping all this, you've got 100 people in the lobby, or, that are dropping at once. the server starts to have to slow down because it can't service everybody at once. And so your tick rate starts to go down and it becomes sluggish and then as the game goes on, people are dying off and the server's kind of catching up and steadying out. They'd get a higher tick rate and things would be operating how they're supposed to. Well, that's been a big problem with this type of a game. This type of a game mode, it's very difficult when all the load is at the beginning to have that be just as optimally performing as when at the end of the game when there's only 5 people playing.
And by the way,
so Fortnite's been able to do that recently.
It's also very expensive in terms of resources to provide, because you don't want to have a dedicated server doing all you need, call it 100% of the processing at the beginning of the game to get everybody in. Yep. And then at the end of the game, you need 5. You've now got 95% of the server sitting idle. So they're optimizing how the load is then transferred from, obviously they don't have dedicated servers for each individual game that's running, but optimizing how the server itself scales resources over the period of the game, because you're paying for a full 100% server and you're using 10% for 20 minutes. You're pissing money away.
And that's a part of the issue is the solution is not getting super powerful servers to be able to handle this, because if that were the case, you'd be having these ridiculous servers just for the first 5 minutes of the game. I mean, that's the only reason you're having that huge, more expensive, powerful server. So what they've been able to do is get it to where the servers don't have to be as powerful and it's very consistent. So that's something that I know PUBG, I don't think they haven't gotten down as well as Fortnite has. And so with these recent changes, it'll be getting closer to that. It'll be interesting to see what the netcode is, how the netcode is actually performing after they complete all of these changes and see if it is something that's similar to what Fortnite has been able to do. They said they're also changing the way that they ship optimizations. They're planning on pushing updates to live servers when fixes are ready instead of simply waiting for major patches. So they're going to announce these improvements in subsequent patch notes. So when fixes come out, because they're waiting for those major patches, so there will be fixes that would be sitting in the pipeline and waiting to be released until they did a major content release. So now those should be coming out pretty quickly. So they did the vehicle optimizations, they had character optimizations in this, loading optimizations, because they have these new maps. There are sometimes performance issues in the maps themselves.
Yep.
So they're trying to get where Miramar and Sandhawk both have an improved loading speed, optimizing the way that the level streaming works. Level streaming is where, let's say we talked about LODs and things like that last week, where it shows things at different quality levels based on how close you are. But level streaming is when let's say the very far left corner of the map, you don't need to know what's up there and you're in the lower right hand corner of the map. Rather than loading the whole map at once, which used to work when you're dealing with things that are like single player, a small map that is a very limited amount of area where you can actually go on it, that would work. But these maps are so big that you can't load the whole thing at once and have the performance that you're looking for. So what it does is it will start to load things as you approach them, and even sections of the map as you approach them.
Here's an example. If anybody played Minecraft years ago, you're probably familiar with watching the literal chunks of the world spawn in as you were running. If you were like on a server, a first-time server, sometimes you'd even fall through the chunk because you got to it before you loaded. If you're playing on a slow server or on an older computer, that's essentially what these games are doing, except it doesn't look like it did in Minecraft, where it would literally just, you just fall through part of the earth. It's loading the map in chunks. Minecraft was literal blocks of the map it would load in from time to time. So it's a very similar process, and again, it's all about keeping the expense. And I don't mean like physical cost. I mean like resource cost, CPU, memory cost, and even network cost. You got to think about it. People have got regular home internet. We saw this problem with Miscreated.
This is Miscreated early on,
using 10 megabits of upload to 10 megabits of download to send you the server information. It was crashing your internet.
With a limited amount of people on there.
Yeah, 4 people, and you're burning up your entire home internet connection to play Miscreated, because they were sending you information about every single player and item that existed on the game. It was very, very inefficient.
Well, and now Unreal has, and what they're using in this for very large maps like this is they actually have it to where, let's say the city itself is considered a level, and that's not even the dirt underneath. So you've got your map, and then you have maybe a city or a point of interest. And as you approach those things, it says, oh, well, you're coming close to that. Maybe it's within your visual range. We're going to load that now. And so it could be something's just on the other side of a mountain, even though it's close to you, or closer than something that you can see, somewhere else. It won't load that because you don't have an ability to see it.
Yeah.
So they're really working on those kind of optimizations where you can run around and have these huge maps. And I think with some of the recent changes, they can have even bigger maps than this. But they have to do these things so that you running around the map isn't like Minecraft. And it's like, oh, now we got to load that. And all of a sudden you see it pop into view. So they said that they are optimizing the network code and to reduce network latency. So as a result, basic player inputs will be revealed to other players much more quickly. We're going to increase the speed at which the server transfers data and objects, so items, doors, fences, to address the fact that sometimes items spawn in late after players parachute in. So we're going to eliminate some inefficient network code. Currently, some objects send updates to the server unnecessarily. So currently, the server rapidly updates certain frames on vehicles and character models in an inefficient way. When we address this, we believe it will also resolve some abnormal physics affecting vehicles. So that's some things that was kind of a little bit of what we've been talking about. The server's not able to keep up. Like there's too much stuff loading in, and those things haven't quite gotten there by the time you get to the ground.
Yeah.
So I think that they're once again, the fire is under them because Fortnite has figured this out. Fortnite has it to where there's none of these little weird bugs happening. Their netcode's running really well. The frames are really good. And
the game runs phenomenal.
It's a seamless experience. And I think that has pressured them. Well, we have to provide a similar experience. And so they're actually fixing these things. If Fortnite wasn't around, do you think that they'd be worrying about these details?
No. And again, I don't want to rehash this argument, but you can literally look at months prior to Fortnite's launch and watch not the decline of the game, because the game didn't peter out, but the decline of the rapidness. I don't even think that's a word, but how quickly they were releasing updates. You could watch that downward slope of, oh, now we're releasing 6 updates this month, or 8 updates this month, and then 6, and then 4, and then 2, and then 4 and 2, and it was just like they got very, very not sloppy, and I guess complacent is the word, but the reality of the situation is they had a really good game, and they still do, but now there's somebody with a lighter literally holding the lighter under them and saying, all right, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. What are you doing?
Yep.
And they even admitted in this post that you're going to read, I don't know if you already read it or not, they literally said they're going to push optimization updates now right away. They're no longer waiting for a larger content patch. The second optimization is done, tested, shipped TM, ready to go. They're going to be putting those out, which is good. They're no longer waiting for stuff like that.
Now, one thing also that they're making a comment on, it says cheating is the area we've made the most progress in recent months. They said they've introduced a variety of encryption-based solutions to make it harder for hackers to exploit vulnerabilities. I don't remember if you remember me saying this, but remember when I said they needed to encrypt values?
I don't remember that specific. I'm sorry.
I've said it here and there, but they needed to encrypt values so it's more difficult or trying to inject something to find the values that you're supposed to replace. They said we've also banned hundreds of thousands of cheaters' accounts and refined the process by which we identify cheaters. Most cheaters are now banned within hours of using an exploit. We've also begun taking serious legal action against the people responsible for creating hacks and cheats. So they said that they believe they're winning the battle against cheaters. Of course, they're not putting out a Tears of Cheaters or whatever. Cheers of a Hacker. What was it called for H1Z1?
Tears of a Hacker. Yeah.
Tears of a Cheater. Is that what it was?
Tears of a Cheater. Yeah.
Yeah. But they said that we won't stop fighting until we've eliminated it, which I don't know if that's going to happen. Look for more updates on this in future dev letters. And then they have a thing here where they have some upcoming work, things that they've been building, like a 3-wheeled drivable vehicle, a lot of unique assets that they've been making to put in there, decorative items, things like that, that you'll start seeing in the world. I think it's because they have this new unique map and they wanted to put some unique items into those maps. So that is their dev blog from the 27th. So that was 2 days ago. They had another event mode that they did here recently, which was the Gilly Crossing. And that happened here it ended yesterday. And that was where it was crossbows and melee weapons on a wrangle. And so that was something they did. I'm sure that we'll see that roll around again. And then they had the Sandhawk testing. So they have round 4 of Sandhawk testing.
Can I just interject real quick before you move on to the next thing? You made the comment about them getting rid of cheaters. I'm still convinced if there were 2 companies that were capable of getting rid of cheaters, it's either PUBG, Bluehole, or Fortnite and Epic. I mean, they have got so many, literally millions of players playing that they've got such an extensive player base and information and data to pull. I really do think they could end cheating if there was and I don't mean end as an end for good, but get it to so it's so minimal that people don't even notice it anymore. I still think those are if it was possible, it's one of those 2.
Yep. And I think that they're making probably the most drastic steps towards fixing it than what we've seen from other companies. I mean, we've ridiculed H1Z1 so many times, or Daybreak, for not even, it didn't even feel like they were trying to get rid of hackers. So I think that this is something that's going to continue to grow. And I feel like when I have played Fortnite, that I haven't seen blatant hacking. I don't see every time that I play PUBG. It's not like every game there's blatant hackers like we were having in H1Z1. So I think they are doing a lot, but I think it is going to take them. Like recently, we've seen them going to court, and actually in China, developers being arrested and sued for huge amounts of money.
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of stuff that's going to start shutting down and making it risky to actually do it, because it is losing a lot of money for these companies. So one thing they did is they're doing this Sandhawk testing so that it starts on June 1st. So this is when we're actually getting news of this beforehand. So June 1st through the 4th. So they said that they're really working on trying to improve and get the fine details on this map. So if you go out there and do this 4th round of testing, it's on the experimental server. So the PUBG experimental server, you'll have to get that installed in your library, and then you'll be able to play it for those 4 days. So make sure you get it downloaded beforehand.
And on that note, we'll probably be playing that at some point this weekend. So if you've got PUBG, make sure you get it installed and updated either Saturday or Sunday. There's a chance that we'll be playing that. So
very good. All right. So I think that covers it for PUBG. Is there anything else?
No. I think that was the good. Well, we spent about an hour on PUBG or so. So I guess we'll announce our giveaway here and roll on with the rest of the program. So before we do that,
I'll get the raffle started. So go ahead and then it'll be ready by the time you're done.
So I want to remind everybody that we are going to PAX West 2018. By the way, I emailed our friend Jens Eric today and pinged him, of course, about being on the show and asking him about his if they're going to be at PAX West this year. So hopefully they are. We can catch up with them. But it's not possible without viewers like you. So you can head on over to our website, infectionpodcast.com/PAX, and donate to our trip fund, which will help us cover some of the costs of our hotel or our room and board and some of our travel expenses. Plus, we're getting some swag and stuff like that for the trip. So you can head on over there, infectionpodcast.com/PAX. Appreciate everybody supporting us, and as well as the Twitch Prime subscriptions, which we've been getting in the past couple of episodes. We really do appreciate it. All of that money is going to fund our trip out to Seattle, and then anything left over is just going to give us the opportunity and the availability to travel to other events in the future, because there's a whole bunch of gaming events across the country that we could start attending. We've got some of that extra income. So we appreciate everybody supporting the show. infectionpodcast.com/support or infectionpodcast.com/packs.
All right, so I'm going to be giving away a copy of Super Meat Boy.
Classic.
Have you ever played this game?
Yeah, I have. It's
Yeah,
a classic
game. A lot of fun. It's got very positive reviews. This is it's one of those skills-based games. It's a platformer indie. It's difficult, 2D single player. I've seen speed runs of this that are pretty crazy. It is a fun game to play.
World's hardest game. Very similar. Well, no, it's if anybody's ever played the world's hardest game, it's kind of something similar to that. Or the impossible game or something, whatever it's called.
Yeah, so it is very difficult. There's a lot of very difficult parts through the game. So check it out, Super Meat Boy, and we'll give away that right before the end of the show here. And remember, the game of the week this week, Friday, we will be playing Black Wake. So hopefully everybody had a chance to get that purchased when it was on sale here this past week. So Black Wake, we'll be doing that Friday. Let's see, I think your time.
7 p.m. Eastern.
Yep, 7 p.m. Eastern on Friday.
Wait, no, I'm sorry, 8. We played at 8 o'clock for game of the week.
Oh, yep, 8 o'clock. Yep, we were doing, because we used to do an hour after that.
Yes. So 8 o'clock Eastern, join us, join our Discord. The information is available on our website, infectionpodcast.com. Well, we got a whole bunch of news here, Brian, so where to?
All right, well, let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit. So we've been talking about Fortnite a lot.
Okay.
So one thing is in the news, it said that in April,
this is crazy.
They made almost $300 million just in April. And so I assume this has something to do with why Bluehole or PUBG Corp is wanting to sue, because there is money there. But they said in 2 months, they have doubled their revenue. And I think that with this, that, $296 million in April, that is definitely, we've looked at in the past, H1Z1, how much money they were bringing in, things like that. I think that these guys have done it without seeming like they're totally selling out to crates. You don't get, when you play the game, you're not thinking, oh, they're just trying to get you to buy skins.
Well, you know what?
Whatever they're doing a good job of making money without it being in your face.
I actually disagree with you completely. I think they're doing I think because they are trying to get you to buy skins. And guess what they can do? Unlike H1Z1 is you can actually buy the freaking skin you want. If you want to take, Brian, your hard-earned cash right here and buy the army skin in the game, you can convert real dollars to that skin and buy it, which is great. And that's why they're making so much freaking money, because you can buy it directly.
What I mean is, but they're not seeming like they're selling out the game to do it. With H1Z1, I was always frustrated that I felt like the game was just turning into a joke with how they were doing it. And because everything seemed to be focused on just skins. Here, I think skins they feel like they're just an extra add-on to the game. It's not what the game's about.
I've got a confession to make.
Yeah.
I purchased Fortnite's Battle Pass. I purchased Fortnite's Battle Pass because I'm playing with my friends and they got all these cool skins. And I'm not a big skins fan, but I look like I don't fit in with the crowd. So I do have to.
You're running around with your new.
Yeah, I'm running around as the default skin. I've got no emotes. People are doing these crazy dances and stuff, and I'm just I don't have any emotes. I have no skins. So yes, I've purchased the Battle Pass, which is $10, and I'm sure a lot of the $300 million in revenue is coming to it's coming from the just the purchase of the Battle Pass. I mean, that's $10 a person, and then on top of that, you can purchase V-Bucks to then buy more skins and stuff like that inside of your outside of buying the Battle Pass. So.
I think they've done a good job of figuring out a way to get consistent money from people, because people will keep on buying this battle pass.
Oh yeah.
They'll keep subscribing to it over a long period of time. And I think parents will like it because it's a consistent, all right, so it's $10 a month and you'll be happy. That's the kid's not saying, can I use your credit card? With H1Z1, I can imagine how much money was racked up on some parents' credit cards trying to get a certain skin.
Yeah.
I think with this, having it to where it's very consistent, like as you level up, you consistently are getting things the whole time. It's not like as much of a gamble to where, okay, I put out money and then, I have nothing to show for it in the end. I think that they've done a really good job of kind of cornering that market and getting it to where, all right, if I give you $10 to spend on gaming, what do you want to put it on? A lot of these kids will pick this just for the reason that you said. Then I can have these cool skins when I play with my friends, and I'm not the one who does it.
Yeah, no, I won't be buying it. I don't foresee myself buying any actual skins. But it does I am unlocking things as I'm playing, so it kind of gives me something else to do. And again, for a free-to-play game, and it's totally a psychological thing, but for a free game, $10 for all the things to unlock isn't a bad deal per se. So I think it's interesting.
Yeah. And one thing that's going to make a difference as well, they did announce that Fortnite is coming to Android this summer.
Yes.
So that's something that we will be seeing. It will have PS4 and PC crossplay.
Awesome. By the way, that's flawless.
One thing.
I mean, I was playing.
I think that with that game, it works.
I played it. That's the squad of yesterday was 2 Xbox One players and 2 PC players, and we were all chatting in Discord. We all played through. It was flawless. Super easy to add all of them to my friends list. Top notch crossplay. Epic's got it. They've gotten it down to a T. They have completely figured out how to do. And I think they're the first company to successfully do it. Rocket League has an all right system. Fortnite knocked it out of the.
They will. Park. Okay, so we're not a Rocket League podcast, but my wife loves Rocket League.
Yeah.
She was asking when we were playing the other games. We were playing H1Z1, and she was like, "Afterwards, can we play Rocket League?" I'm like, "But they're on PC. We're on PC. We're on PS4. It's just it wouldn't work right.
We have to play private matches, which suck."
They're going to be making it to where you actually can have a friend system with PC and PS4 here soon.
That'll be great.
So then you guys can play, because that's the thing is my wife plays that game the most out of any game on the PS4 or of any game other than on her phone. She plays Rocket League. So having a game that like that is just as good, I think, on the PS4 as it is on the PC. Like I would go to either one and play and be happy. So I think that it's tough to find a balance like that. And I think that with them, when they designed Fortnite, they designed it in mind of, and I know I brought this up before, but they designed it in mind of how can we get a game that plays perfectly no matter where they're playing it. And I think that they designed that, and it's going to pay off for them, because the fact that if you have a PC and I have a console and I can still play with my friends, it takes away that barrier. It makes it to where it doesn't matter. If your friend has a Xbox, a PS4, has a PC, they'll actually be able to play together, which hasn't really happened. I mean, can you think of another game where that's really happened?
No, it hasn't.
So I think that they may be breaking some ground there. And once again, creating a new trend. Like, here's what is expected of a game. We want it to where you can play wherever you want to play, and we all should be able to play together. But once Epic does it with Fortnite, I think we'll start seeing that a lot more. And I don't think PUBG is going to have an easy time making that transition. Same thing with H1Z1. There's no way you can have H1Z1 on PC play with H1Z1s on PS4.
Nightmare.
Just, it would not work. I think that we're going to start seeing games designed with this in mind, just like they did with Fortnite, and it will become kind of the standard operating procedure from here on out.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with you.
All right. So there's some YouTube videos. I don't know if you want to play. They're pretty short.
Yep. So this is a new one. This is the jetpack, which, by the way, I used.
It was a limited amount of time.
Yep. Super cool. And there's no audio. This is
nice.
Don't know why.
Perfect.
Don't know why there's no audio with it, but here it is. Let's try this again. It doesn't say it's muted, so here's the Fortnite jetpack, limited time. There we go. All right, so that's the jetpack. Limited time. It's fun. I've died multiple. It's really cool with the RPG or the Gatling gun, as you saw, but you do fall from your death quite frequently. Fall to your death rather quite frequently as you're hopping around and dying. So
that's something they recently added. So now this next one, it actually has talking in it. So now one thing they like to do is these little short video clips, which I do appreciate. It makes it easy for us to show them on the show.
Yes. So here's the next one. Of course, as I unmute my Chrome tab, all of the news stories I have are auto playing their audio. Like, of course, CNET's website. What a surprise! It starts auto playing a video. So here's their Battle Royale dev blog update number 11.
Hey everyone, KL Smith here to talk to you guys about competitive in Fortnite. Now we launched the solo Showdown Ltm this past week, and we're excited because you'll have an opportunity to compete against other players in Fortnite Battle Royale for in-game prizes for the very first time. And as a way to say thank you for participating, play 50 games and get a unique spray. For this LTM, we'll be updating standings on the Fortnite website. Now, Solo Showdown is a one-off stepping stone to learn how to build great experiences for all types of players. Expect lots more changes coming, but if you crave testing and improving your own skills, give it a try and let us know what you think. We are weeks away from heading to E3 for our Celebrity Pro-Am event, which was previously announced in a blog a couple months ago. More details are coming on this event, but get ready for a really fun time featuring lots of familiar faces in the Fortnite community. If you're interested in Fortnite competition, stay tuned. We'll have more info dropping soon about how we plan to support the community in online competition and physical events. We absolutely cannot wait, and we'll see you next time.
All right, so that's the Fortnite dev blog update.
And they're putting a lot of money into the kind of professional league
type
of the thing that's coming up. So I think that'll be definitely something it's a stable enough platform to do, which I think is really important for these type of things. Having something to where, I mean, with H1Z1, we're always like, is there going to be a disaster during this competition that they're doing? I don't feel like that's a risk when I'm watching something with Fortnite. So I think that we will start to see that. And they'll have that. I think more and more serious competitions coming out to where you see these professional teams that's just all they do is they play Fortnite and things like that.
Well, you're seeing it with Overwatch right now. Is you've got the Overwatch competitive league. I think maybe that I would say that's probably the biggest new league that's come out. Of course, League of Legends and Dota have gotten CS:GO have got all their majors, but the Overwatch league is fairly new. You've got even Robert Kraft, who is the owner of the New England Patriots, owns a team. Mark Cuban spent a fortune getting a couple teams started in Dallas. He, of course, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks basketball team. So there's definitely space and room for competitive. And I think Fortnite does I feel like Fortnite and Overwatch have a very similar feel to them. That PUBG has got and it's the leftover Arma sim kind of play style feel that doesn't do competitive very well. But I do think Fortnite has got an Overwatch feel that makes it I don't know, just more prone to be a competitive game.
I think there's more of a skill based. I mean, with the whole building thing, that takes skill.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it takes away that luck and some of the R&D of it. And it gives these really talented players the ability to do something to counter being in a bad position or have a way to dig out of something that's a tough situation. And so I think with that's really going to help them become that competitive game that they're looking to do. All right. So I think that's it pretty much for Fortnite. There's a video here from Dead Matter. This is a game that we talked about and I did an interview with one of the developers for, and this is something that is successfully kickstarted, and this is their first trailer that they released, other than stuff that was promo trying to get the game funded.
Yes, so here is the Dead Matter May 2018 trailer tease.
Where'd you guys go?
Hey guys, we sincerely hope that you've enjoyed the teaser trailer we've put together. We're a small team and multiple systems have been completely rewritten based on feedback from our previous teaser trailer, namely our zombies and the gunplay. We will be releasing our first vlog in early to mid-June. Even though we are still very early in alpha, we aim to please and strive for improvement. We'd love to hear what you think via the forums or via the community Discord. We've released a roadmap alongside this trailer which can be found in the description. If you like what you've seen, consider following us on Twitter at DeadMatterGame or liking us on Facebook. You can also visit our website or our community Discord if you'd like to get a bit more involved with the game. We talk daily with our fans via the Discord server and would love to see you there. If you've liked what you've seen so far and want to go balls to the walls and back us, you can do so via qisoftware.ca. If you are a content creator or would like to report accurate information on the development of Dead Matter, we will be opening our partner program in mid-June.
All right, so that's Dead Matter, and Hanny said in the chat during the trailer, it feels clunky from this video, and I guess we can kind of talk over that. I mean, Brian, I'm all for the hardcore survival aspect. But I mean,
yeah,
this is not appealing. I'm sorry. I mean, this.
Well,
I mean, I'm not like.
So
I don't like.
they're looking. I'm assuming it's affecting the sway and the accuracy. I assume that's what they're going for. Is all these different, as you upgrade your gun. Yeah, as you upgrade your gun, you get more accuracy, maybe more power. That's kind of the grind that they're going for in that. So I think that gives you a reason to go out and try to, they have a set number of base guns that you can get, and then you can improve upon your gun by finding things in the world.
I don't know what it is about this image we're looking at that is just such a turnoff for a video game. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Are those options that they can pick, or those one? I mean, does that mean that they have all of those options, or are those the possible options?
I'm not sure. I
couldn't quite tell from that if that's all the stuff they have in their inventory.
I just find nothing about that appealing. I mean, I'm all for options and variety and variance and things that you do. It's just, I get so, I don't even know what the word to use about it. Just gets so time consuming. I mean, You know, I assume from looking at this picture that you're going to find parts of guns all over the place. And you're going to spend three-quarters of the time trying to piece together a single gun.
Well, and if this turns into a highly PvP game, you're constantly dying and losing all these things. That gets really frustrating over time. So, but then you don't want to risk having everything be persistent, and, you know, and you automatically have certain upgrades. So it's kind of a tough rope to walk. I think that they're going to have to figure out, how do we make it to where there's enough of that difficulty level, but, you know, people aren't giving up and never bothering because they're constantly dying. So it's great on a game where you don't have that high risk of dying to make a long set of, here's things that are difficult to obtain. But when it's something that you may be dying every day, you know, that's not what people are looking for. In H1Z1, you know, make the gun rare. Don't make it to where I have to do all these crazy things to be able to get, you know, a special scope on the gun or a special whatever it is. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much of an aspect of this game is actually PvP versus. I don't think that's really their goal. I think they're looking for a kind of a exploration zombie game, not so much a PvP game. If it turns into a PvP game, those things probably won't hold up.
I look at this video here, and I'm not trying to, you know, trying to go after the developers, whoever's working on it in any way. I just see a very limited player base that is interested. And the problem with a limited player base is it means limited source of revenue, limited income, limited amount of time, limited amount of things that can be done. That's the struggle with these games that are, we're seeing it with Miscreated in some respects. That game has got a decent player base, but they don't have a big team. I mean, we had Chris Sprance on the show. There was a team of like 6 or 7 that were working on the game. And when you've got a team of 7, it takes forever. I mean, case in point, look at freaking 7 Days to Die. It's been a year since we've had an update. How big is their team? 4 people?
Yeah.
It's just an incredibly small team. And you don't have to have 1,000 developers like Fortnite or whatever, hundreds of developers like Fortnite to make a good game. But when you've got such a limited player base, I think they kind of lucked out. I think they kind of lucked out on their Kickstarter. Like something just caught with their Kickstarter, and they got more funding than I think they were expecting. Yeah. So
I think that now they're in the struggle of, how do we deliver a game that's at this new level that we received money for. That's kind of the struggle that they'll have is, okay, well, we came into this thinking that we were going to make a $60,000 game, and now we have 100 whatever, you know, and I think that that's what they're trying to do. I think they have been doing it. I think that they're putting out a lot of original graphics. They're creating, you know, unique world, but you know, coming up with that, if they're trying to do stuff that's cutting edge, like with the weapon system, that, you know, maybe it'll work for this game. It's kind of hard to say from but they've got to get the performance down. There's a lot of work, I think, still to do, but I think that, you know, that's their first really public video like that. I think they're on their way. It'll be interesting to see over time as it progresses, if they continue making improvements, maybe they'll realize, oh, you know, this mod system, even if they don't show you all the mods that you can get, maybe so you can just find stuff in the world and don't say, hey, look at here, you know, you need to find all these, you know, you got to get more. I think that just make it to where you find, oh, I found an upgraded scope, you know, put it on your gun, and don't make that what the game is about. You know, you have to have this certain gun to win. You know, just have it to where you're just kind of finding things around the world and putting them on your gun, and, you know, oh, this is better than the previous one.
Let me say this in the nicest way possible, and tag just subscribed, at the
3 months in a row,
and gave us an exclamation point giveaway as the subscription. Thank you very much for the 3-month or the resubscription. We really do appreciate it. I think the issue you run into with a game like this that's so detailed and so advanced, and again, I'm not saying that games like this do not have their place. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm not saying that development needs to stop or they should or shouldn't do a certain thing. All I'm saying is you run into a game like this when you've got all of these different things that you can do, and as a developer, you spend so much time on the little minute things because they're all in the game that nothing meaningful ever gets done. I think that's a real problem. I don't know that that's going to happen, but we've seen this with small development teams and games that are really in depth in terms of all of the functionality that's available. You know, the weapon customization, it takes an incredible amount of time to do all those to do all those things. Exactly. And I'm not I don't really think I'm expressing my opinion on it in an accurate way. Something about a game this complex with a small team just kind of puts off a red flag in my brain.
Makes you nervous.
It does. It makes me very nervous because we've seen this come and go. Hide and hold out. Great.
Had a lot of cool, they had a lot of good concepts.
Incredible concepts. All of these great things that are going to happen. And then the reality is it's a couple people working on the game and they couldn't afford to finish it. Yeah. And that's my fear with a game like this. I hope that the game is incredibly successful and it's everything they hope for and more. I'm not trying to dog on them. It's just you get into the situation where there's just too much stuff in game to both do for the player that is a turnoff for players like me. For the Arma community, this is perfect. I'm not taking anything away from them, but it's a small group. It's not 20,000 players concurrent. It's not. And I don't care what anybody says. It's not. There are not going to be 20,000 people concurrently playing this game in the state of this trailer. It's a small community, which means small revenue, which means eventually you run out of money and you have to stop doing
another one of those. This is another one of those that started out as a mod.
Yes, so it's tough.
I think that we see a lot of these to where, okay, the mod is doing well, then they try to make the transition over to an actual game.
DayZ,
it worked for PUBG.
Yeah, it did.
It isn't really working yet. Maybe it will for DayZ. We'll see if it ever does. But I think that you have to make something that is still close enough to your mod. I think the danger is when you then start to expand so much on the mod. If you look at PUBG, it's still very much what the mod was. Sure, they're making different maps and they're making it look nicer in places, making it perform better. But it's still what the mod was. And I didn't really play, the mod that Dead Matter's based on. So I can't tell you if they're straying from that. But I think that's the danger of when they're like, oh, we have all this money now, we got to make a real game. We got to add all these crazy features to it. Make the mod in a PC form and then improve upon it. But, and maybe that's what they're doing. I know that they're trying to go for the look that they had on the mod, with the kind of bluish feel and everything. But we'll have to see where they actually go with it.
And Handy's saying, I remember when Hurt World was going to kill Just Survive and Rust. It's a lot of games like that. And it's no fault of these developers. It's just, how many times can we watch the same thing happen and say, oh, this is, we know how
I'm
this
glad
goes.
These guys are taking their time, though. I mean, you got to think their first promise was that like 3 months after they kickstarted, or 4 months, I don't remember what it was, that they were going to do a release. And I think they realized, that's not realistic.
Possible.
And so they still haven't done a release yet. I mean, it's been a year now, right? It's been almost a year since they kickstarted, if I remember correctly.
8-10 months.
So, and so now, they're actually getting closer to having something to show. But I think that, they go into this with such unrealistic expectations. You're not going to turn around a game in 3 months. It's just not going to happen.
Unless you're Epic.
And so, unless you're Epic, I mean, where they already are just making games constantly. And for them, this is just a side project.
Yes.
What started out as a side project. And so I think that they showed some maturity in the fact that when they originally said, oh yeah, we'll have our first alpha out in, like December. And it was summer when they released, it's sometime at the end of summer, midsummer. And then they said by the end of the year, they were going to have something out. Well, I think then they realized, oh, this is a lot harder. Either it's a lot harder than we thought, or we want to make something better than that. We brought in a lot of money. Let's make something that is worthy of what people are paying us, which I don't know which one of those two things happened, but I'm glad that they did, and they didn't just rush out some poorly made product that knowing that no one's going to play it anymore.
Radical Heights.
Yeah. Like Vertical Heights, rushing it out. I think they could have gone somewhere with that. I just don't think that development company was a good company to do it.
I would agree.
Something about it. So, all right.
Check it out, Dead Matter.
So that was Dead Matter. PS4, they have, for H1Z1, they did put out an update for their open beta on the 25th. So that's what we were playing for our Friday night game night.
Yep.
So if you are looking to play that, make sure you jump in and you can download on your PS4 and play some of that. They did come out with a game update. Now this was on the PC. And so they were making some changes to the ping restrictions. So in order to maintain a fair and consistent gameplay experience in our competitive modes, connection quality restrictions now apply to all ranked matches. Players with a connection quality that fails to meet ping threshold requirements will be unable to join ranked matches. So, this is 150 milliseconds in North America. That's fairly restricted.
Yeah, it is.
But that, if you're doing a competitive match, that's what you want. You don't want it to be something to where you have someone running around with 200 ping and then someone else with 45 millisecond ping. You want it to be like that. In Asia Pacific, in Australia, 200 milliseconds is acceptable, probably because of all the cables going under the ocean that they have to deal with. All players can still join arcade and hosted games as well as combat training, so regardless of the ping. And then they did some quality of life changes and bug fixes. Suppressing escape now cancels channeled abilities, so like using a first aid kit. Player report functionality is now available on the match end screens, so you can actually report them at the end. Map borders no longer appear incorrectly in some resolutions, and the exit button now always appears correctly in the UI when spectating a teammate as the game ends. So that was they haven't put out a lot of updates recently, and I wonder if it's because of the firings at the company, the layoffs.
Well, I still think,
or because they're putting out they were putting out the PS4 version, so that was their focus.
I think it's a bit of both. It's kind of the shock of having to reposition, realign everybody,
losing
and
most of your team at the same time.
Well, getting everybody back and getting everybody into maybe new roles or new channels that they need to be locked into, and then of course the PS4 version.
Yep.
And again, as that comes closer, I'll reach back out to Justin and see if they're interested in talking about their game on the program, which wouldn't surprise me if they're not. But nevertheless, we'll do that. So H1Z1, again, I'll say it and I'll continue to say it. If you have a PlayStation 4 and you don't try it, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. Just give it a try. I mean, it's free.
Yeah,
doesn't cost you anything to install.
Very good. All right. So another thing we were talking about, Miscreated. They did come out with their update number 59 this past week. They have that new updated UI that they were promising, kind of showing screenshots. We showed a screenshot of it, I think, last week.
Yeah.
I hinted at that. And it now scales correctly based on the screen resolution. So if you run a 4K monitor, the UI should scale properly to what is supposed to be on that size of a display. Damage bars now is displayed for items that have health. They did do some environmental changes. Like the oceans and rivers and seas, you can now dive into sewers, caves, and cellars and bunkers. And so the one thing on here is they have that new weather system they put in. And when we were play testing it, it wasn't in effect yet. Like we could run around in the green storm and it wasn't actually damaging us. So what they want to have is to where when you were having that start, you can go into a shelter, you can go to a safe place and get away from it and wait till it passes. So what they have is now the game is aware of where the player is and evaluates where you're at and see if it's a shelter. So how much protection you receive is based on the area, what it is and the weather type. So inside of houses and bases, as well as areas partly inside, those will give you some protection and it's detected. The oceans and rivers, you can dive into those and then you're protected. and then you can go underground into those sewers, caves, cellars, and bunkers. Also, you can get inside of a vehicle and you'll be protected from the storm. So the Rad Storms, which is the one that we showed some video of, those are deadly. So if you don't seek shelter during those, there's a good chance you'll die. You need some sort of protective item, equipped or consume something, and then you might be able to last. Radiation, you can get a Geiger counter on those now, and you'll be able to detect the radiation. They say carry a lot of anti-rad pills, anti-rad mushroom, potassium iodine pills, things like that, before you go into a radiation area. And then also they have the physical tornadoes, collisions, fall damage. Those are considered environmental stats. The gas smoke from gas grenades, things like that. The flashbang, which is a blindness. The fire, like Molotovs and fire areas, that's considered an environmental stat. So all of these things, these protections that you get are scaled based on, like, if you're wearing equipment, based on the health of that item. So like with the feet, you might step on a punji stick. So you'll have protection items against those. And so they're making it so when you do this, you're now having to wear items to protect you from it, or else you will take damage. So they're trying to make it to where everything makes sense. Before, there were things in the game that you're like, why would I wear those? There's nothing actually does it. Those are all going to have effects now. One thing is, they say going underwater in the middle of a radiation storm protects against its negative effects. So
that's cool.
You just jump into water, and that's one of the quick ways that you can kind of get away from it.
You can
if
bob.
You don't see any kind of a building
so you
around.
can go underwater, come up for air, and kind of
go back down.
Minimize the effects of the storm on you.
So that is Miss Great. There are some other changes, but we'll have to link to the show notes if you want to go check that out.
And you can do all that at infectionpodcast.com. Brian, I said I was going to do it, and I meant it. I stopped what I was doing, and I played some Conan Exiles this week. Of course, I appreciate Deacon, the rest of the clan's offer for, hey, come grab this, come grab that, come do that. No help. I've been running solo. I'd say I've maybe got 3 hours into the game so far. I've got a small base right on the water, and I'm so far enjoying the game. I've always liked Conan. I always thought it was a lot of fun. And they do have an update here. This was a test note that they did for it's a test build, and a couple of things here. There's a couple of QOL improvements here. Fixed auto target to down prioritize clanmates selection when enemies are present. So the auto target there's less of a chance it will snap onto a clan member if an enemy's in the room, which is good. Player names now show further away on PC. Admins can now explicitly whitelist players by their Steam ID, and the added ability to overwrite decay score for small buildings, and that's to help combat land claim harassment, which is always an issue in these games. How do you deal with land claiming? So they've added some stuff for that. A couple of AI changes. Fixed a problem with the follower thrall, sometimes walking backwards when following. Fixed a problem with the thrall no longer able to attack after unequipping a weapon. And fixed a problem with human NPCs falling under structures and performing a melee attack near a doorway. So very, very specific set of events that would have had to happen for that. A couple of general bug fixes, some crashes, fixed some health regen issues, players' corpses sometimes, getting screwed up and stuff like that, which of course is an issue. Ark still has that issue. I remember countless amount of times getting killed in Ark and your body just vanishes and everything you have is gone. So those things still exist. Deacon said he's lost his body a number of times just because it just disappears, frankly, which is kind of comes with the territory of this kind of game. So that's a quick Conan test update. This was on the 25th, so it's up on the test server. You can go ahead and check it out.
Very good. All right. Darwin Project, they came out with an update this week, 1.11.1. And that seemed to be going strong. One thing is they put out a new set of cosmetics, which is a hunter's theme. They've been coming out with some really good, unique, and I think that's important for a game like this. especially one that's encouraging to be streamed, encouraging being seen on streams. So they got some really pretty cool looking outfits on there as well. They did say that they went in and improved some aspects of the gameplay. Items in the item shop now rotate at 12 p.m. Eastern. So that actually has items changing and rotating through there. They did do some fixes to some of the swing animations with axes and something like that. A lot of things with the axe. They're trying to improve the axe a lot in this one. And then a number of bug fixes. But if you've been playing that, it's a free-to-play game. And it is a lot of fun. We played it as a group, and I think people were pleasantly surprised once they got a chance to get in there. And we'll have to do it as a game of the week here sometime soon and actually host the game and maybe stream it and use some of the interactive things on the stream when we do that this time. So Unturned also came out with another update this week. And this one was 3.24.0.0. And so they have a new military base and a stronghold in here. They've added, now they have another map they're talking about, which is Ireland. They have a lot of unique maps in here, and then a lot of tweaks and fixes. But on here, this is a game that Nick's talked about. It's a very difficult game to play. It is a very tough survival game. I mean, it looks like Minecraft, but it is a very difficult game to play. So
yep, that's fact.
Yeah, and so if you go in here, don't think, oh, this is a kid's game, this is going to be easy. Go in there and you'll realize it is very much a survival game.
Do like our group does. Go in there and say it's the worst game ever because it's hard. That's what our community tends. That's what our community. That's what our community tends to do with this game.
So, and in here they have some of these different strongholds that have quests and things like that, puzzles, multi-stage construction and quest lines, and it actually has alternative endings in here too. So that is something that it's pretty interesting. We haven't even tried. I haven't played any of that aspect of it. And then a lot of fixes, and I know he's working on the new version, which is going to be under Unreal. And so I'm excited to see once he starts actually releasing gameplay how much it changes this game. This is in Unity right now. I think he feels like he can do a lot more under Unreal. So it'd be interesting to see how the game looks and feels once it's totally switched to a new engine. So other than that, there was a Friday the 13th patch, which was mainly that new game mode we talked about a little bit with the single player. They had a new counselor that they put on there, some new perks that they put on there, and legendary perks. So if you're interested in that, we'll have a link to it in the show notes. We won't dig too deep into the F13 Hurt World as well. Since we're at the end of our time. They put out a patch, and those will be in the show notes. So if you want to check that out. And remember, game of the week will be Black Wake. So make sure that you have it downloaded. You're ready to go. Make sure it launches. And then we will start that on Friday here at 8 o'clock. Right? 8 o'clock?
Yes, sir. 8 p.m. Eastern.
Very good. All right. Is there anything else?
News-wise? Nope. I think we got it all. Again.
Oh, one thing I was going to mention, I did miss this. So there's actually an Arma bundle out right now.
Yes.
That they so if you don't have Arma, we run an Arma server, and it's our most active server that we have as far as things that we have a number of people that are playing Conan right now, but we have people playing every day on our Arma server. So if you go to Humble Bundle, or actually go to our website first. If you want to support us, go to infectionpodcast.com, click on the support button, and then that will take you to the Humble Bundle store. Then when you go and purchase something, it gives us a piece of that to support the show. So they have the Arma 2018 bundle. So if you don't have Arma and you go with the $15 base one, that gives you Arma 3 and 3 of the different add-ons for that. And it gives you some of the original Arma games. Then if you go to what is right now $15.59. So for 59 cents more, you get Arma 2, pretty much all the Arma 2 stuff. And then for $20, you get Arma 3 Apex. To play on our server, if you're looking for something to play on our server, all you need is the base Arma 3. So you don't have to go with the Apex one. If you think you might get into it, you could get the Apex one and get everything, but the one that is required to play on our server would be the $15 tier if you're looking to just get the minimum. So that is something that just came out today. So I thought, it's got 13 days and 16 hours left on it. So if you're interested in Arma 3 or you've been interested in playing with us, but you're like, I don't have that game, here's a good opportunity to pick it up for one of the cheaper prices that you'll see it for.
Absolutely. Head on over to our website, infectionpodcast.com/support. Click on the Humble Bundle link, and all of this, all of the stuff that we're making from our either Twitch or Humble Bundle, or whatever, is all getting funneled into our trip out to Seattle here in just a couple months. It won't be long before wheels will be off the ground, and we'll be on our way out to the West Coast.
I know that Lance has got his plane ticket as well, so we all have our plane tickets.
We're just we're just waiting for press passes to come available, and once those are available, we'll get that
those in the next couple days.
Hopefully, yep. And then we'll be off to the races, and once we've got all that stuff sorted out, we'll kind of bump up the e-begging a little bit more. Maybe we'll get a professional e-begger on the show to help us along, and we'll just pull somebody off the IRL section in Twitch and and get them to get them to help us with our campaign here. All right, current players, I guess, if we're done with what's going on. All right, so current players, if you are maybe new to the program, and I do want to quickly give a shout out to a couple of viewers over on YouTube Live. With kind of with the way things are going on different streaming sites, thought we'd have our backup, our utility stream. So we're streaming on twitch.tv. You can tune in live over on our YouTube Live page. So maybe you're new to the show. Maybe you caught us on YouTube Gaming. Current Players is a segment where we go through and look at a couple of the popular games that we talk about and tell you how many people are playing them. So we're going to get started here with H1Z1. This would be King of the Kill. Currently playing 4,608. The 24-hour peak, 7,627, with a 7-day peak of 9,643. Moving on over to Ark Survival Evolved. This is a niche game, has a solid player base. 26,311 people currently playing this. The 24-hour peak, 40,460, with a 7-day peak of 49,845. Solid player base on Ark. Speaking of another game with a solid player base, Conan Exiles, hanging on to its players, currently playing just shy 20,000, 19,523. Your 24-hour peak, 29,208, with a 7-day peak of 38,556. Moving on to everybody's favorite, Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, currently playing 225,525. Your 24-hour peak, 1.5 million, and your 7-day peak, 1.7 million concurrent players. So, solid player bases all around on PUBG. I'm very surprised with Conan, and hopefully Jens there can shine some more light on that when we get him on in the next couple weeks. It is odd that this is now the third week after launch, I believe. Maybe the third or fourth week after launch, that they still have 20,000 concurrent players with a 70 peak of almost 40,000. I mean, that's Rust numbers right there. And people would say Rust is a successful game with a solid player base, and they are pulling. I mean, this is the last time we did Rust. I don't have currently, but this is the last time we did Rust. Their 24-hour peak was 28,000. Their 7-day was 38. Conan right now is at 29 and 38. So, I mean, they're in the same park, which is good. I mean,
and that's one thing I look at what Conan has done, and they put in those time sinks that I've always talked about. They put in, I mean, I look at the kind of the status updates that Deacon puts in the chat and Musty puts in the chat, and there's always that one more thing he's working to get. He's like, it's not repetitive. Like I'm getting this next set of armor. I'm going to this next place. I'm getting this next thing. There's just so much content in there that I think they did a really good job of always giving that one more thing to do. And I think that Deacon has done a good job of putting in enough time to discover that. And that's the one thing I was talking about. It takes some time to get to that point of the game to where you discover all that's available. People will play for a week and they'll kind of just scratch the surface, but they never quite realize the depth of the game. And just from seeing what they've been able to do, I think there's a lot of depth to that game. If people, just like we found with Ark, there was, probably I would say there's more depth and story in Conan than Ark. But with the dinosaurs and with all that stuff, there was always something to do. There was always, something we were working towards, the next goal that we were trying to do. So I think with that, they've really hit the nail on the head and done a good job with it.
I have not seen a lot of negativity around
run this update
or just around the game in general. I mean, honest to God, things have been very, very very positive.
Yep. So, and I think that you may find kind of a resurgence with this. I know they released, but I think that they're pulling in enough numbers and people are realizing the depth and actually starting to play it again because their friends are playing it. I think that you may see that the numbers continue to grow to where it becomes kind of what Ark was having, to where there was just a lot of people playing at some point in time, and people getting very dedicated to servers and making huge bases. Like, it's all there. All the elements are there. So I think that that's something that they may continue even farther than they expected to originally with. So,
yes.
All right. Are we ready for tip of the week?
What is tip of the week, Brian?
Tip of the week is where you go through and either I'll talk about a general gaming tip to maybe help you or a specific game. And since Arma 3 has been what I've been talking about a lot lately, this one's for Arma 3. So this is tip of the week. All right. So in Arma 3, one thing that really enhances the game and makes it unique is the modding that you can do in it. We talk about different games that actually came from Arma 3 mods, but what people are able to create these missions and create very unique experiences. So you'll have certain servers that will integrate specific mods that you can run on it and actually custom mold that experience for you. One that you'll see very commonly is a mod called Enhanced Movement. One thing you'll learn about Arma is there's a limited movement capabilities. You may notice in PUBG how the movement feels. That's because they're kind of tailored it originally in the way that Arma was. And so someone has created a mod that goes through and actually improves the movement of the character. So it allows you to jump and climb over objects. You can set special keys, to quickly be able to climb ladders, open doors, hatches, accessing gears out of objects like vehicles and different things that you can loot. And, maybe you can set a key to jump between vehicle seats and things like that. So to set up a mod like this, you'd go to the Steam Workshop. You can install them manually, but Steam usually has all these things integrated and allows you to update them easily. But you go to Steam Workshop for Arma 3, and then you can subscribe to that mod. That allows you to then either join a server that's running that mod, or you can start a game with that mod selected from the launcher. And let's say that you've loaded up a game and you have Enhanced Movement on there. You just go into the game, hit escape to get to the menu, and then there's another menu option there that allows you to go and set these custom bindings. On our server, we actually have a number of mods that we use that allow for zombies, roaming AI, that has special airdrop events that happen on the server at random places throughout the day. And we've created Donnie PC has really created a custom feel and something that is a unique experience on our server. And so if you can even do this on yours, it's a very flexible modding platform. If you go in there, you can go through and pick out some of these mods, create your own local custom game mode if you just want to play around and kind of learn what you're doing. Or as I said, you can just join some servers that already have them. And we have our server. So I would encourage you to, if you get a chance to go get this Humble Bundle, or maybe you've played Arma 3, to at least jump in and play with us. There's people playing every day, and it is a PvP style atmosphere. There are zombies, and it is very much a survival game. So it is something worth checking out. So that is it. That is my tip of the week.
Alrighty, and thank you very much for that, Brian. Really do appreciate the tip of the week. And if people are interested in joining in our Arma community, you can join our Discord. The link for that is on infectionpodcast.com. And you can also go to the website, click on servers, and see the list of current servers that we are operating. And I do want to thank Donnie for, I know he and you, Brian, have put in a countless amount of hours into getting those things up and running. So really do appreciate both your hard work in that. And the community seems to be enjoying it. So keep up the good work, gentlemen. We appreciate it.
Very good. All right. So we ready for to roll for this?
Yes, sirree. What who's our winner here?
All right. So congratulations, X Bravo. X Bravo, you have won. So I will send you a link here in a message with the new system. We have to do that. So
Hey,
I will send you a message,
as they say.
Yeah, I will send you a whisper and get you your game code.
See, you don't, this is the greatest part, and I know why they got rid of the private message. It's so you don't have to say I'm going to send you a whisper. I'm going to whisper you, right? Isn't that great?
Not going to send you a message. I have to do it right now.
Yeah, but just whisper them.
The thing is, if they're not online right now,
I've got a great idea. You should just give the game key out, and we'll assume the community will not try to redeem. Only the winner. We'll just post it in chat. I would assume only the winner.
The honor system.
The honor system in the Twitch chat, right?
Make this easier. I'm just going to post the game key here, and if just the one person
could enter, that would be fantastic.
I'm sure that would go seamlessly.
Absolutely. Well, yes, congratulations to X Bravo, and I want to do again. Real quickly, thank our friend UGX Vibe for the subscription on Twitch, our friend It's Judd, and our friend Tag, who all came in with subscriptions or resubscriptions between, actually, they all came today. So really do appreciate all you guys helping us out and making our trip out to PAX possible, because that's what this stuff's going to go directly towards, is getting out there, getting our equipment out there, shipping that out there, and all that fun jazz. We're really, really looking forward to it, and we're gonna have some banging content out there. I'm really excited for it.
Yes, it'll be a lot of fun. We had a really lot of fun last year.
Oh yeah,
and really looking forward to it. And we know what to expect, and so it'll be even better.
You know, the real reason we're raising money is we're hoping that Brian doesn't miss his flight again. So we're.
If I have to, I can jump in the car and drive there before the show starts.
We're hoping we get enough money so that Brian actually cares enough to get to the airport more than 10 minutes before his flight leaves. So that's the real. I mean, I hate to break it to everybody, but that's the real reason. Sorry, Brian.
I still, this time I'm having the app on my phone to where I'll just walk past the lady and be like,
well, can you at least show up Can you at least show up like 45 minutes before the flight leaves?
It's like more 20, but all right.
I mean, ladies and gentlemen, 40. This is after show content, but I'm telling you, PAX East last year, I'm having a great morning. I'm thinking I got to pick up my friend Jake the Snake from the Crummy Show, where him and I are carpooling out to Boston. You know, I'm hanging out. I jump in the shower. We're not leaving till like noon or 1 o'clock because it's only a 3 or 4 hour drive. So I hop in the shower, right? Get out of the shower. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be awesome. You know, I'm going to hang out with my buddies. I'm going to be playing some video games, walking around. Text from Brian Aldridge. Oh, sorry, man. Missed my flight. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? You're kidding me. You're kidding me.
Luckily, they redirected. I just got in later in the evening.
Yeah, like 11:30.
Mm-hmm. It was a long day for me. It was like a 12-hour
I don't get that. That's your own fault. I don't care if it's a long day. I wish it was longer. I mean, I don't care. That's your problem. Jesus.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, all joking aside, we're really looking forward to the trip and appreciate everybody making that possible. All right, Brian, enough of the shenanigans. Where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, if you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, of course, my blog, biteoftech.com. And the best way would be go to our Discord. So if you go to infectionpodcast.com, on the right-hand side, we have a join server button that will connect you right to our Discord. And we also have one for our Steam group if you'd like notifications of our live show and game of the week. Also, we have links to our YouTube, our Twitch, and all our different audio forms. So If you do find that for some reason we aren't listed on your favorite podcast app, make sure that you go in there and let us know. We can either go to our website and go to the contact form on there, or you can go onto our Discord and just send us a message letting us know that something isn't working right. So, but we look to be on every place that podcasts are sold, that we'll have a place for you to find us. So if we aren't there, just send us a message.
Absolutely. Brian, thank you very much. We're going to be playing Black Wake coming up this Friday evening for our Infection Game of the Week, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then also at some point over the weekend, we're going to be hopping into the PUBG test server to play the fourth, and I believe it's going to be the final play test of their new map. So make sure that's just installed, and then we'll throw the feelers out on Discord and get everybody in there. So we'll do all of that. Well, hey, maybe you're listening to this after the fact. You can tune in live. We are live every Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on our Twitch channel, or streaming on our YouTube channel, twitch.tv/Infection Podcast, or our YouTube channel, infectionpodcast.com/YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it. You can follow me on Twitter @NicholasMCraig or visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time.